I heard my daughter scream before I even turned off the engine. It wasn't a normal scream. It was the kind that cuts through your bones, thin and raw, the sound of pure terror. When I ran up to the porch, I froze. My 8-year-old Emma was lying on the wooden boards, her tiny chest rising in sharp, shallow gasps. A thick steel chain wrapped around her torso, locking her to the porch post like some kind of animal. Her heart monitor flashed bright red, the alarm wailing. And standing on the lawn, smiling clipboard in hand, was Karen Sloan, the HOA president. "It's a violation," she said, like she was talking about trash cans, not my child. That moment burned into me. I'm a police chief. 25 years in law enforcement, 5 as the head of the Maple Creek Police Department. I've seen a lot of sick things. But nothing prepares you to see your kid chained under the afternoon sun while some linen-suited tyrant quotes bylaws. Before I tell you what happened after that, let me take you back to how it started. When Nicole and I moved into Maple Creek, it felt like the American dream. A quiet cul-de-sac, clean lawns, neighbors who waved. We wanted a safe place for Emma. She was born with long QT syndrome, a heart condition that makes her vulnerable to stress and heat. We paid extra for peace both in taxes and the ridiculous HOA dues. That peace lasted about 48 hours. The day we unloaded the moving truck, Karen showed up not with cookies or a smile, but with a printed list of violations. Our truck had been parked too long. The boxes were on the curb too early. The grass was a fraction over regulation height. That was our welcome to Maple Creek. At first, I laughed it off. People like Karen are everywhere. I've arrested dozens of her type over the years, petty control freaks who think rules make them powerful. We paid the fines, we ignored the gossip, but it didn't stop. She fined us for a wreath on our door. She took photos of our yard and sent anonymous complaints, and every month another letter showed up with her perfect cursive signature at the bottom. It escalated until that summer afternoon. When I saw Emma on the porch, my brain just split. Half of me was the father who wanted to rip Karen apart. The other half was the cop trained to act under chaos. I grabbed the bolt cutters from the garage, my hands shaking. "It's just a compliance issue," Karen chirped. "All play structures must be kept in the backyard." She gestured at the little blue slide next to Emma. I remember her exact words. "The slide is the property. The child was attached to it. A simple, restraining measure." Those words will never leave me. I cut through the chain, scooped Emma up, and Nicole, my wife, a former EMT, took over instantly. CPR, AED, the whole 9 yards. I called for an ambulance with the calm voice of a chief, but inside I was screaming. Emma survived barely. Heat stroke, dehydration, cardiac arrest. The doctor said another 5 minutes and we would have lost her. That night I sat alone in my car outside the hospital, the blue light from the monitors flashing through my windshield. I kept replaying Karen's smirk. She knew what she did. She didn't care. And worst of all, she had the audacity to call it enforcement. I went home to gather evidence, and that's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The power was off. The breaker had been flipped manually. The Wi-Fi router was dead. The heart monitor app on our phones hadn't gone off because someone deliberately cut our connection. That someone knew exactly how our system worked. Karen had planned it. Nicole and I dug deeper. She started building a file, logging every fine, every email, every fake inspection. Then, she found something stuffed inside one of the HOA newsletters, a glossy letter addressed to Karen from a company called Vidian Ridge Estates. They were developers offering to buy every home in our neighborhood to build luxury condos. If every homeowner agreed to sell. Our address was circled in red, labeled resistant. Next to it in Karen's handwriting were the words, "Target for aggressive compliance." That was the real motive. Not rules, not aesthetics. Money. Karen was their enforcer, the neighborhood executioner sent to drive us out. We finally had proof. And an eyewitness, Mr. Finley, the old man across the street. He saw Karen walk up, argue with Emma, then pull the chain and padlock from her tote bag. He was terrified but willing to testify. For the first time in days, I felt hope. It didn't last 12 hours. At 2 a.m., my doorbell camera went off. The feed showed a figure in a hoodie on my driveway. Karen. She knelt near my truck, then walked across to Finley's porch. She left something on his doormat. I didn't know what until the next morning when Finley called me, voice shaking. "Tim, there's a dead bird on my porch," he whispered. A note under its wing, it says, "Chirping gets you hurt." "I'm sorry, I can't testify." I hung up and stared at my phone. That woman had crossed every line imaginable. For the first time in my life, I questioned myself. I'm a cop. I believe in the system and due process. But standing there watching a criminal hide behind HOA rules and lawyers, I wondered if justice even worked anymore. Maybe she was untouchable. Maybe I should just sell the house, move somewhere new, start over. But then I thought of Emma, her small hand clutching mine in that hospital bed, the way her heart monitor beeped like a broken metronome. No, this wasn't ending with Karen winning. So I fought back. I went to my deputy chief, Marcus Thorne, my oldest friend. "I'm recusing myself," I told him. "You'll run the official case, but off the record we're building another one." Marcus nodded. He didn't even ask why. He just said, "Tell me what you need." We brought in two of our best, Maria Diaz, a tech wizard, and Sam Chen, an undercover genius. We came up with a plan to make Karen hang herself with her own words. First step, make her think she'd won. I posted on social media that I was retiring. I even gave a local reporter a story about needing time to heal with family. Within a day, the HOA gossip group exploded with sympathy posts. Karen's response was exactly what we expected, a fake sweet message about wishing the Jacksons peace. Then came the real one, private board meeting tonight. Mandatory attendance for select members. That was our opening. We swapped the clubhouse smoke detector with a hidden camera. Audio, video, the works. That night, 5 of us sat in a nondescript white van 2 blocks away, rain hammering the roof, watching the feed on a laptop. There she was, Karen Sloan, Queen of Maple Creek, sitting at the head of the table in a cream blazer flanked by her goons, and a man in a shiny suit from Vidian Ridge. "Thanks to your diligence," the man said, "we can move forward with the final buyout." Karen smiled. "I told you I'd handle the last holdout." I'll never forget what she said next. Her voice lowered, gleeful. "That little girl with the heart condition, a liability." I did what had to be done. He got the message. If I had to chain her to that porch again to get this contract signed, I'd do it. Every word was clear, crisp, undeniable. We could have arrested her right then, but I wasn't ready. I didn't want it hidden behind courtroom doors. I wanted every neighbor who had ever cowered under her threats to see the real her. 2 days later, the general HOA meeting packed the clubhouse. Karen stood on stage in a red power suit soaking in applause. She thought it was her coronation. I waited until she tapped the mic to speak before walking in. Heads turned. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I was supposed to be retired. Broken. Karen's face went pale, then tight. "Chief Jackson," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "This is a private meeting. You're not welcome here." I stopped halfway down the aisle. "Just finishing what you started." She snapped her fingers for her hired muscle. Before they could move, I gave a nod to Diaz in the back. The lights dimmed. The big projector screen flickered on. And there, in front of the entire neighborhood, played the video from her secret meeting. Her own voice filled the room. "I'd chain her to that porch again." Gasps, whispers, the kind of silence that weighs more than sound. Karen's mask cracked. "It's fake," she screamed. "He's lying." "This is doctored." Her bodyguards lunged. I moved on, instinct, ducked a punch, twisted a wrist, sent one crashing into the carpet. The second froze as the doors burst open and half the Maple Creek Police Department poured in, led by Marcus. "Karen Sloan, he announced you are under arrest for felony injury to a child, unlawful restraint, witness tampering, and conspiracy to commit fraud." The crowd erupted. Phones out, people shouting, recording every second. Karen screamed as they cuffed her, wild and cornered. Her clipboard hit the floor, scattering papers like broken wings. She looked at me as they let her out, hatred, confusion, disbelief, all tangled together. I didn't say a word, I just nodded once. It was over. The HOA collapsed within a week. The developer pulled out the councilman behind the scheme was exposed, and the residents voted to dissolve the association entirely. For the first time in years, Maple Creek was quiet again. That's where I ended it. No celebration, no speeches. Just silence, the kind you earn after hell burns itself out. Some people ask me what the lesson was in all this. It's simple. When power hides behind rules and cruelty wears a smile, you don't walk away. You drag it into the light and let everyone see exactly what it is.